Hey everybody, it's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom, which is exactly what we're talking about today. We're talking about the best habits of great real estate agents and why agents tend to not invest in real estate, thus not turning their career into a life of freedom. So Greg is already chiming in. Greg has many things to say, but so does our special guest. We'll bring him in a second. So while we wait for people to join us live, thank you so much for doing that, by the way, to everyone that watches us live. We really appreciate it. But if you're watching the replay here on YouTube, make sure to hit subscribe so you get our future videos and live streams. And then if you prefer the audio version, just the iTunes or Stitcher, you can go subscribe there and get the audio version that's nestled right between your ears where we so belong.
So deep nestled.
All right,
just so deeply nestled in there.
Okay. So since he's butting in already, I might as well bring in the Junior Grandmaster himself because he's always in the co-pilot seat. Even when he's not feeling the best, he is devoted, he is dedicated, he is disciplined, he is the Junior Grandmaster himself, Greg McDaniel.
Matt Johnson. Yes, I am not feeling that well at all today. My stomach is absolutely doing as a hula hoop and doing circles around my ankles right now. So fuck you, whatever I ate that did not feel well. Oh, you're beating me like a redheaded stepchild, and I don't appreciate it. So, onwards and upwards with me. I gotta tell you, have you ever heard of Pliny Elder, the beer? It's a very rare beer. It's very hard to get your hands on this stuff. And I was given a bottle of that this weekend, and I gotta tell you, man, that shit is fucking awesome. It is. I even slow drank a beer. Imagine that. Just to enjoy every single second of it, and I would never give it back. And if it was the Pliny that got me sick, I still love you. We can still have a relationship.
Okay.
It's okay.
I was thinking that and wondering.
I would never break up with a beer, Matt. That's just me. Okay. That's alcohol abuse, and we don't tolerate alcohol abuse.
So you're saying you had a good Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I know you had a lot of fun. You were hanging out with your girl and just relaxing, and I had a blast myself. I got to sleep literally for 3 days. It was epic. I didn't move off my couch. I think my cats think I don't go to work anymore. They're just like, "Oh, he's still here? That's weird." But yeah, no, it was an epic weekend, and I look forward to another one very soon. Like maybe today.
That's July 4th? Is that our next holiday weekend or something like that?
That is. Well, we have Father's Day or Mother's Day, some parent day. In June. What is it? It's fun. I'm getting the icy stare from Google back here. Yeah, this is my secondary mother. This is Eileen. This is the steel trap, the one and the only.
So what she's saying, Greg, is that you should probably keep that in mind because your business partner and dad might appreciate receiving something from you for Father's Day.
Oh, we'll see how cards play, Matt. You never know. You never know.
All right. Well, with that said, let's bring in our special guest, Kevin Turner, the host of Real Estate Uncut down in Australia. We are so happy to have you here, Kevin.
Okay, Matt. Thank you. Yeah, good to be here too.
So, so we reached out to you. We realized that we're on the same list of real estate podcasts put out by Curator, and you've been running something for much longer. Yours is a little bit, it's different in structure, but same type of content. Just trying to help agents be better at what they claim to do, sales and marketing advice and training and so forth. And so Greg appeared on your podcast talking about door knocking and some things like that. So we wanted to bring you on to our podcast and expose our audience to your fantastic podcast because you interview a lot of the top agents down there in Australia, and we're going to share some of the best habits that you've learned from them and all that stuff. But before we get into that, just so people understand, give us some background on who you are and how you came to host the show, and what you currently do, spend most of your time doing now.
We do 2 podcasts, Matt. The first one that you just mentioned is Real Estate Uncut, or RE Uncut. That's a little daily podcast, runs for about 7 minutes, and in that 7 minutes we'll feature about 2 or 3 speakers. Greg was one of our guests a couple of weeks ago. We talked about door knocking, and but it's been running for about 6 years now. We've got most of the agents in Australia and New Zealand online. Our audience is much smaller than yours, of course. There's only some 40 to 60,000 agents on this part of the world, but we reach most of them. We've been doing it, as I said, for about 6 years. The other part of my business is Real Estate Talk, where we talk to consumers. We help investors grow their portfolios, how they work with agents, what they should be doing, where they should be looking to buy property. It is very Australian, essentially Australian-centric, so we look just at the Australian market. We do have a look occasionally at other overseas markets, including the US. My background, I was in real estate started real estate in 1988. I was a salesman for a number of years. Then I owned a couple of franchised offices, the Ray White Group, which is one of the biggest groups in Australia. I owned a few of those. I worked in New Zealand for a few years too. Then I came back. I've got a radio background, and then I combined that radio background with my real estate experience, and hence the podcasts were born about 6 years ago. I still do commercial radio shows on real estate in Australia as well. So that's pretty much my background.
Well, yeah, when I did your show, I mean, I was blown away. I mean, I've been on a lot of different podcasts. Yours was so professional and so clean. The process was so refined that you made it so simple for me to come on. All I do is come on, just talk, and you're like, okay, and we're done. I'm like, what happened? That was amazing.
Yeah, we do move it pretty quick, Greg. I like the speakers, individual speakers, to go for about no more than about 3 minutes, which I know is a great challenge for a lot of people. But what we try and do is, it's not a training podcast. It's really just an ideas podcast where we try and stimulate ideas and discussion. So we just put it out there, and then we get a lot of interaction back, and I have people coming on and say, no, I don't agree with that, and then we try and get their opinion. So I don't sit on either side. I just try and be a sponge and absorb and just take in as much information as we can. That's what the podcasts are all about.
It is, and you have it timed perfectly for real estate agents' minds. Very short and concise, like a goldfish. Give them about 2 to 3 minutes of content, because God knows they're not going to listen to anything after that.
Yes,
it's a wonder our show even exists at running no less than 59 minutes per episode.
Well, one of the great challenges we've got is sort of getting into the video area. I produce videos as well, hence the studio we've got here, but we don't do enough of it. And one of my passions is to actually take Real Estate Uncut into a daily video where we use exactly the same kind of format, where we'll pick up 2 or 3 agents and just pump it out, but make it available in video, audio, and text, so that agents can pick it up and use it any way they like. So that's one of the things. That's one of our goals for this year.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Great stuff. And I look forward to. I'm gonna go back and listen to the episode that I did with you. And I just think that. But I want to jump into something really quickly, guys. I learned the other day. I was talking to an Australian agent, actually an American that would move down there for an Australian girl he got married to. But you guys don't have buyers agents, do you?
That's one of the big differences. Well, yeah, sorry, we do have buyers agents. They're growing all the time, but that's. If you're going to ask me the difference between the Australian market and the American market, that is the one that I would have honed in on first off, and that is that agents in Australia sit on both sides of the fence. We actually work for buyers and sellers, and I know that causes a lot of debate in Australia about conflict of interest. Who are we really working for? We actually get our commission from the seller, yet we help the buyer buy that property. So it's quite common in Australia for agents to be working both sides, picking up the buyer, getting the contract, then going across and negotiating that with the seller. But more and more people are becoming aware of buyers agents in Australia. They're in all cap cities now, not so much in the regions. But I think the big challenge for people here was that they're so used to buying a property and not having to pay a commission. And the commission in Australia is a lot less than it is in the States. We get on average about 2.5%, and that's for both sides.
Oh,
so
wow.
So this is one of the reasons why it's gone on the way it has, is that the commission base is very, very low.
Yeah, it truly is. I mean, when you say 2.5, I'm like, that's not low. We get 2.5. Oh, for both sides. Yeah.
That's right.
That's a little cut in the pants right there.
Yeah, that's a nice shave. Nice shave right off the top there. Okay, so does that mean that in general, real estate agents in Australia are finding clients just like a listing agent in the States would? They're primarily having to go find sellers first and then attracting the buyers through the listing process?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's exactly the same process. We get our listings, then we open them up for inspection. We get the buyers, we work the buyers until we get the point where they want to make an offer on a property. And it's quite common for someone to work a buyer as well as working their listing, so they'll take the buyers out and show them other stock, either within their own office or within their own patch. So agents are sort of working both sides of the fence. 2
things here real quickly. One, what is a patch? Is that like your market area city?
Yeah, a patch is typically a farm area. It varies. It depends on the region, but most agents work around 1,000 to 2,000 houses. That's their patch or their farm.
Okay. Second question. For the American, folks that are listening to us right now, since your agents are constantly working both sides of the transaction, love it if you have any scripts or techniques that agents are using to work a double-sided deal, and how do they avoid getting whittled down off of that 2% if they're going to be working both sides? Do you run into that at all?
Well, we'd only ever be whittled down on the 2.5% from the seller, because the seller's the one who actually pays the commission. And yeah, there is a lot of dialogue around cut price commissions and how to avoid it. But essentially, I think if we can demonstrate to the seller that we are paid professional negotiators, and if we can't negotiate our own fee and get a fee that's worthwhile, then how much confidence they're going to have in our ability to actually negotiate on their behalf. And I think that's the big one. And really, it doesn't matter how much you pay me until I actually get a deal that you're happy with. So let's talk about commission at the appropriate time. And if you're happy with what I've done, then you're going to be happy to pay my 2.5%. So I've never had a problem justifying 2.5%. It's really not, and great agents don't, of course.
Of course, and I loved your script right there. And if you got, hopefully everyone who's watching or rewatching this, if you caught what Kevin did there, he diverted and deflected the conversation now and said, hey, let me show you what I can do. Then we'll talk about commission. If you're not happy, then we can talk about it. But I know you're going to be happy.
We go even deeper too, Greg. We sometimes will show a seller how we do negotiate. Like, let me give you an example. If someone came in with a low offer, the first thing I'd say to them is, well, look, my owners have asked. Well, the first thing they'll do is ask my opinion on this, and I'll have to tell them that it's a very low offer. So, and in talking to the seller in this way, we're demonstrating what we do and why we're worth that 2.5% fee. Without saying I'm not going to bring you those low offers, which I will, and that's something I want to talk about, because I think great agents are really good at having those hard conversations, both sides, with buyers and sellers. But I think that ability to demonstrate to a seller that, hey, I'm on your side, this is what I'm doing, I'm going to negotiate to get you the highest figure, not necessarily the first price. So, any agent can bring you a contract, but what I'm going to do is bring you a contract that gets you a premium price, or the potential of one. So we work a lot of dialogue around that.
So if you're working for the seller and the buyer, so maybe a strategy might be something like this, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. That you would strike out on price. You would try hone in on price for the seller, and maybe hone in on terms or conditions, or maybe rent backs or something to give to the buyer for the better their side. Is that what you kind of do as well?
Yeah, because a lot of agents lose sight of the fact that negotiation is not all about price. It's all about conditions, and certainly conditions work on both sides, buyers and sellers. And there'll be some sellers who'll say, well, I'm not so concerned about the price. Well, they all are, of course, but I'm not so concerned about the price. The thing that's most important to me is to make sure that my house goes to a really good buyer. Well, the first thing you do is discount that straight away, because you bring them a really nice buyer, wants to pay them a low offer. The first thing they'll do is tell you to piss off. So, right. I thought I'd be the first one to get the swear word in, Greg.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I love it. You're already ahead of me. And we're keeping the score from this point on.
Hey, let me get my boxing match belt. It's ding.
There is a lot of skill around fee negotiation, because at the end of the day, that's how we're rewarded. And if you're not good at that, hey, you might as well give it up. You might as well not even be in real estate.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive into the conversations a little bit. So when you say that the great agents are really good at having the hard conversations, explain a little bit more about what you mean, and how can somebody get better at having those hard conversations?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is a key thing, and this actually separates the good agents from the great agents, I think, is when it comes time, when you hear yourself as a negotiator talking to a seller, and you may be 1 week into the marketing and you've got a low offer, and you hear yourself saying things like, oh, well, we're only a week into the campaign, let's wait and see what happens. Give up. Get out, because that's not what it's about. What it's about is having the ability to say to a seller, well, look, I understand this is less than what you really want, but my message to you, you've engaged me to help you secure the best deal. I'd suggest that you need to take notice of every piece of feedback I give you. So in other words, you've got to get the high ground, then you've got to hold it, and you've got to stand there and hold firm. Understanding that the first thing you're going to get back is some kickback from the seller. The seller will say, hey, I told you not to bring me anything over $500,000. I know you did, but I have an obligation. to put in front of you every piece of feedback I get from a seller. In other words, you've really got to be firm and have those hard conversations.
Well, having those hard conversations, you know, if you're the reason why people have a hard time with those conversations because they're tied to the outcome. Once you become detached from the outcome, then having that conversation and being completely transparent and honest is no longer a problem because you're not afraid of what's going to take place. And yes, everybody is a little bit afraid of losing that commission, losing that client. You know, if you put a lot of work in, I get it. But what if you tell them a false truth or a lie, or you don't present something to them because you're afraid of what they're going to say? That's just being a bitch.
Yeah, well, Greg, the other point too is that you got to understand what your role as an agent is in this whole thing. You're not there to make a friend. You're
Right.
there to help them see the reality. You're there to help them see what the market is really all about. There's two things. Every seller wants more than their house is worth, and every buyer wants to pay less than what it's worth. You will always have that compressed air between the two. You've got to have the skill to get the seller to see reality and get the buyer to pay what it's really worth. That's what our role is.
It really is. We just had a client that closed. We had it on for $1,150,000. The house had been a rental for like 10 years. There was, you know, the roof. You could literally see through the roof, and a few other things that weren't so good about it. They put horrible, ugly carpet in, you know, and they just did kind of things halfway. And then we got an all cash close in 16 days, $1,125,000, boom, done, and they were pissed. But I'm like, look, you guys, the neighbor sold for $1,155,000, you know, a couple of years back, but they were in better condition. If, you know, I gave them the laundry list, and you know they were upset with it. But the reality is, like you were saying, Kevin, our job is to present the property to the market at the best possible price. The market will ultimately dictate to us what they're truly willing to pay.
Yeah, and you know, another fault that that agents fall into, Greg, or brokers, is that they believe that they understand what the market is. They think they are valuers. They think, you know, oh well, you know, I'm going to hold out. This buyer's wrong. You know, I reckon the property's worth 550. They're only offering 500. You know, you got to stop that. Great agents do not make decisions. They simply are a conduit. They pass the information from one to the other. The moment you start to stand there and make decisions on behalf of the seller or the buyer, once again, you might as well get out of the game. Mm-hmm. Understanding that great agents don't make decisions. They make decisions about nothing. I've seen agents come back from open houses and say, and I'll say to them, well, how did you go? Oh, no good today. They're all tire kickers. You know, I have never met an agent yet who can tell me, a tire kicker, by the way, is a time waster.
Yeah.
You know, someone who just walks around and kicks the tires to the used car lot, you know, like they're never going to buy anything. And, you know, yeah, you've seen a few of those?
Oh, I've met a few of those, yes.
Yeah.
And they suck.
That's the great agents don't make decisions about, you know, who's going to buy a property and who's not going to buy it. They're simply there as a conduit.
And I think that's a beautiful way of putting it, is because most people they hold on to this idea that they are the ultimate say. They priced it right. They're doing this, that, and another right. When in reality speaking, the ultimate boss, you actually are literally hired. You work for as more or less an employee with a high fee, you know, for these buyers or for these sellers. And so passing on the information.
I can give you a demonstration of how that works too in the real world, and that is, how many times have you walked into an office and a new salesperson has actually gone out and sold a piece of stock that everyone thought was a dog. It had been on the list for maybe 2 years or 6 months or whatever is a long time in the area that you work in, and then the new agent will go out and sell it, and then come into the sales meeting and say, how the hell did you sell that? That's a dog. Then we've had that for 2 years. But the thing is that the new agent didn't know it was a dog. Just went out and sold it because it was a piece of real estate. So you know, you've got to stop making decisions.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a market for somebody. Always a market for somebody.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that not making decisions on behalf of buyers or clients. It's a great way to look at it, and keep yourself from having the mentality that some leads are better than other leads, because for the most part, leads are leads. The only question is what's their time frame, and you know, figuring out their motivation. Just because somebody's not as motivated as you would like them to be, in the sense that you want your commission in 3 months, doesn't mean that they are therefore tire kickers and therefore bad. Just means that their time horizon might be longer than you want it to be, and you know, things can always change in people's lives. So yeah, that's one thing that I notice is that people have they want a certain type of lead, and they go to a lead generation system and they want to generate the leads that say, yes, I want to buy a home now. That's that's just not practical. You're going to always have that mixture of what you consider tire kickers, 6-month people, 1 month, 1 year people that want to buy now. They're all online and they're all looking.
They are. Well, Mike Ferry and all those older guys, when they're training, the OGs of training and coaching and everything, what they've said Mike used to say in the past, like, if they weren't going to be doing something in the next 1 to 3 months, they're not a lead, kick them to the curb and keep going. But like you said, Matt, and I know Kevin feels the same way on this, you got to do the long tail play on this stuff, because you got to fill that filter and that funnel, and then things will start popping out at the appropriate times when they're ready. That's why if you're going to get into real estate, you got to have at least 6 months of savings. Oh, God, I hope you have 6 months of savings, because this is an ass-kicking industry that can suck you dry and then give you a deal right when you need it, and then you start, because you filled the pipeline full of people that want to do something, and now you're going to make money.
Yeah, one of the lessons I've learned over the years too is that if you can shift from being transaction focused to being relationship focused in real estate, you'll always be successful. Forget about the transaction, and that's where a lot of short-term thinking comes into the industry. Is they're always thinking about the next deal. Where's my next deal going to come from? Instead of working on relationships and you work with people, the deals will start to happen. And that's one of the reasons I think real estate agents or brokers are extremely poor planners, because we don't plan for the future. How many real estate brokers do you know who have actually got a plan for 2017, 2018, 2020? Like, we've just come away from a seminar where we've done a 5-year plan. Where do I want to be in 5 years' time? What is the story of my life going to be like in the year 2021? What's that? Yeah, that's right, 2021. So we've done the plan for what my life and what my business is going to look like.
And that's fantastic. I mean, if more agents could look at this as a business instead of a hobby and stop getting out of their own way, saying, "Well, I work for myself. I can do whatever I want, when I want, with who I want, how I want." Yeah, you can.
You can.
But if you have no plan, how the hell are you going to know where you're going? It's like getting in a boat with no rudder or no captain and saying, "I'm going to go this direction." Well, I'm pretty sure you're not going to get there. And nobody gets that, because they just see the next deal, the next deal, the next deal. I was talking to an agent today. He was going to make about $50,000 on one of his deals he was doing. He's like, that's about half of my year's income, and then I have another one's going to be about $50,000, and that's my whole year. I'm like, yeah, but you're doing. I mean, why don't you lay it out to do that every single month? I mean, honestly, let's wash and repeat and do it again. I mean, $50,000 in 30 days. Holy shit.
Yeah, sure.
Second customer.
It's quite amazing, and therein lies the answer as to why a lot of real estate agents don't buy real estate, because if they just think too short term. They spend the cash. The cash comes in, and we get these peaks and troughs. The industry is full of peaks and troughs. You get up there, you got a peak, you have great listings, you sell them, you come down, you wake up one morning and say, geez, I've got no stock left. What am I going to do? Then you go into the cycle again, you pedal real hard, you get yourself up, and you've got to. The great agents, 1% of all agents are the ones who are in that ongoing dynamic where they're continually building their business.
So, 1%. Kevin, how have you seen the top agents? I know we're going to start talking about this, but I'm curious. What have you seen to be some of the best techniques for agents who are beginning, middle, or at the top right now to continually grow their businesses, start to put things in system? Oh God, it is cussed systems into place. That's a running joke that Matt and I have, that I absolutely hate systems and Matt can't live without them. But I mean, what have you?
I've got to admit, I'm with Matt on that one. I'm a system person, but I can tell you that the great agents have systems. You're a great agent, I know. Look, I'm not taking anything great, and you probably scoff at systems, but you've got some. Like, you turned up for this podcast this morning on time. You got a system that built you to get you to this point, and all systems will do is give you discipline, and that's what you got to be. You asked me for some of the traits of great agents. I gave you one a few moments ago, and that is that they understand about building connection, about relationships versus transactions. That's the one thing that I've seen that outstanding agents have. Another one is high energy. They're really pumping. Like, they look after themselves. They get into the gym. They do their exercise. We've just come off a 1.5 hour bike ride, which we try and do every morning, and that just gets my endorphins going, gets my energy up, and I pump. But come 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my energy's down a bit. Not as young as I used to be. So I try and pump as much as I can into the morning. So I really put a lot of effort and energy into that. So
that's important. I mean, a lot of the times that's why I get up. I'm up at 5 every morning, or probably I was like about 4:30 this morning because I just couldn't get back to sleep. And I just
excited about talking to me.
I was. I knew Kevin was coming. I'm like, oh, come on, get this day moving. I gotta talk to Kev. Damn it, why is this day going so slow?
That's right. Your body's like, oh, only a slim 10 hours too early.
That's why my motto is, Matt, if I'm going to show up for a listing appointment or a podcasting, if I'm late, if I'm early, I'm on time. If I'm on time, I'm late. And if I'm late, don't bother showing up. So I decided to show Kevin the respect that I just got here 10 hours ahead of time.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
can I tell you one other thing that I think great agents are good at too, and that is that they don't look for that magic bullet. You know, I know you've got a lot of people who watch your podcast, a lot of people listen to my podcast as well. You know, looking for that flash of inspiration. What is it that can drag me out of this point that I'm in now? Give me that magic bullet. What is it? How can I turn it around? You know, I remember probably too long ago, I won't tell you how many years ago, when I had a real estate office, and it was just a massive failure. Like, we were just losing so much money, and I called a guy up who was a great mentor, and I said, come and talk to me. I need the magic bullet. And he said, yeah, I'll give you the magic bullet. And he came out and had to talk to me, and I was really pumped because this is going to answer all my problems. And I said, what is it? He said, there is nothing in this industry that a sale or a listing won't fix. Just go and get a listing and get it. I said, it can't be that simple. He said, it's that simple. And that realization turned my whole business around. I was too focused on the big picture, like, why am I going broke, asking too many questions, yet all I had to do is get back to the core activities that get you a listing or a sale. Mm-hmm. And that was, that's actually what turned it around for me. There is no magic bullet. Every agent knows what they got to do. You just got to get on and do the basics.
And every agent works differently. I mean, we all talk about door knocking, cold calling, prospecting, networking, open houses, a laundry list of what you can do, right? But, I mean, most agents, what if you just really suck at being around other human beings? Matt Johnson. He doesn't even respond anymore. It's not even fun anymore. It takes all the fun out of me picking on you. But I mean, if you don't like being around people, then why don't you do an email drip campaign or figure out some sort of passive-aggressive way of reaching folks? Go read Jay Kinder. Now, is it Jay Kinder? No. Who am I thinking of, Matt? The guy with direct response marketing. Jay
Abraham and Dan Kennedy.
Dan Kennedy, that's the guy.
Yeah, okay.
Go read some of his stuff. I mean, direct response stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But don't do the things you really hate doing. Do things you like to do, and then turn it into a marketing or a farming technique of some style. But do it consistently, like every day, consistently. Like drinking. That's how you drink. You stay alive. You drink water. And staying alive in real estate is prospecting on a daily basis, maybe 1 or 2 times a day.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
I was talking to an agent who's just started. He's probably been in the industry for 2 or 3 months, and I was having a conversation with him last night. And he's out doing letterbox drops, sticking flyers into people's letterboxes.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, look, really, what you've got to focus on is getting face to face with people. Stuffing stuff in letterboxes is not going to get you anywhere. This industry is all about getting face to face. So until you're getting face to face, you're not really making any ground in this industry. So find reasons to talk to people. Have those communications, that conversation. And it's just what you said then, Greg. I mean, if you're not into getting together with people, if you're not into talking, then you're just not going to make it in this industry.
You're not. The guy named I've told the story several times, but I'll do the abbreviated version. When I first started in the business, I had the honor to be coached by a guy named Dick Ward, and I didn't know who he was when I first got into it. And I said, "Well, Dick, tell me your backstory." So he said, "I got into real estate right after the war. It was World War II when he got into it, right after World War II, and he just gotten married. He'd moved to the Midwest, probably somewhere near Omaha, Nebraska. I don't know, somewhere out there, and he." Said, okay, how am I going to make money? I have no idea. I don't know anybody in the area. So like what you just said, Kevin, he went out with 25 business cards, 25 of these beauties, and wouldn't come home until he passed out every single one of them. And I said, okay, Dick. Yeah, I said, okay, Dick, well, what happened? He's like, well, Greg, in about 6 months, it took me about 6 months to really get going, but then I was closing at least 14 deals a month, had the same or more in my pipeline for pending, with a huge laundry list of referrals and repeat clients that were always coming back for more or telling their friends about it. And I said, okay, Dick, well, what was the biggest amount of deals you ever did? He's like, at our height, my team and I were closing 2,500 deals a year. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, Greg needs to shut up and start learning.
Yeah. And giving away business cards. All right.
Yeah, start giving business away quickly.
That's right. All right. Well, speaking of building relationships and actually having a reason to keep in touch. So that's one of the things that Greg does do now is instead of going out and passing out his business cards one at a time, is he uses video marketing. So just want to give Viral Marketing a quick shout out, and you can go to gregsmarketingexamples.com to check out exactly what they do for him. And Greg kind of takes you through like what kind of videos he sends to his database. You can see the YouTube channel, the real estate video blog that they run for him, and the emails that are sent to his database. So that's how Greg keeps in touch with his database of past clients, sphere of influence, all that stuff goes into an email list. They get educational videos every 2 weeks from him, not only just about the real estate market, but also about things that are going on in the area, community events, local businesses, all kinds of stuff. So there is no excuse for not knowing like how to communicate or what to send out to your database. Just literally go to Greg's real estate blog and copy what he does.
Yeah.
So I ran into somebody the other day that was like, well, I don't know like what to say. I'm like, just go look at what Greg does. There's an endless cornucopia. It's a plethora of ideas.
It'll never stop.
It never stops. Yeah, I mean, there's always you're always doing something. So go check that out. gregsmarketingexamples.com.
Check this out. I got my click-through report. By the way, guys, Viral gives you a click-through report. Shows you how many people clicked and watched the video and took action. I had 5 people that want to start looking at homes and 1 person that wants me to come over and talk about the value of their home. I have their emails. I sent them all an email. I got one of the guys to hit me back. He's like, hey, I'm waiting for my daughter to, or son to get transferred. If I'm not going to get transferred into a better school district. So he's like, just stay in touch, man. Just stay in touch. I'll know in August. I'm like, that was simple.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's all about just, I mean, you've got almost 6,000 people in your database. There's a lot of deals in there if you can figure out who in your database is thinking about making a move and contact them at the right time. And that's what the videos and keeping track of who watches the videos, that's what all that is about. Mm-hmm. It's not about lead generation, it's about lead identification.
It is, and like we've all been talking about on the show today, Kevin, you and I have been saying, look, go do that human thing, go talk to another, living being, not a screen name or anything else or an avatar. Go talk to another human being, belly to belly, face to face, eye to eye, have a conversation, try to find their problem, and then solve that problem for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then
I've met many. Am I interrupting here?
No. Always come in.
I've met many agents who've made the mistake of saying, I've got 6,000 people on my database or 10,000 or whatever the case may be, and I can say to them, yeah, well, I've got 30,000 here. It's called a phone book. It means nothing until you actually ring them and talk to them. Like, it's just nothing. Yeah. It's just a list of names.
That's true. Funny. I'm taking that line. I'm going to just grab the biggest phone book I can. Like, well, how many people are in your database? I don't know, about 100,000. Bam!
Yeah, whack it down. Well, you can actually offer to give them, hey, I'll give you a great database. Here it is. It's the phone book. Just go for it.
Start calling. I actually did that. I sold Nextel cell phones right out of high school for a little bit. I had no database whatsoever, so what did I do? I literally sat down and started calling through every single person in the Yellow Pages. And damned if I didn't get business from it. Did it suck?
Those poor people with the last name that starts with A. All right. So one more thank you for me, and then Greg's got some shout outs to give, and then we'll jump back into investing and the best habits of top agents. So just wanted to point out that the Homing In app, they're actually getting requests from homeowners not just in North America, but actually Australia. There are people in Australia looking for home valuations from local agents through that app. So no matter where you guys are, guys, go download that free app. It's called Homing In. Go to the App Store for Apple or Google, the Google Play Store if you're on an Android device, and download that because it's essentially free seller leads for you, and that sounds like a pretty good deal. So it's our chance as an industry to keep the generation of seller leads within the real estate community, so someone else doesn't figure out how to rank at the top or generate those seller leads and then charge us and sell them back to us. So go download the Homing In app. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, it's free, fuckers.
That's right.
Why would you not want something free? You always whine about, it costs so much. Well, here's something free, so take advantage of it. Stop being yourself.
That's right. All right, Greg, so who do you have to shout out real quick?
I have a lot of people, Matt. As always, people are just amazing. Because of our foobar of a podcast on Monday, my deepest apologies, but Raymond, dude, what's up? Thank you for reaching out. You're going to be taking the McDaniel Challenge. From YouTube, Solo Nails, I wish I knew your real name, but I like calling you Solo Nails. Found us because YouTube started us up, and really liking the show and enjoying what the content we're bringing. So super awesome. I'm glad you're watching us. Raymond, I got him on the books from the McDaniel Challenge, dude. I can't wait. We're having a great talk. Jason, I had a talk with you the other night, dude. Super awesome to get some time to chat with you. I see some really cool stuff, man. I really do. I get to talk to Eileen from Hawaii tonight. Super pumped on that one. I already said it before. She's the one that likes when I drop F-bombs. It's hilarious. You pipe down back there. Eileen's giving me lip. Oh, okay. I got Brent, who reached out to me today and shot me an email. I did a quick call with him. Super cool. He's a newer agent out of Las Vegas. I gave him some good ideas about video and how he can, really start kicking ass with it. And Matt, he actually found us from listening to my interview on Super Agents Live with Toby.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then Nikki, I'm giving you a shout out. This is look at this. Look at this beautiful handwritten card she sent me. Such some very, very, very kind words here. So thank you, Nikki, and I really appreciate it. And then let's see here. Gerard hit me up right as we were getting the whole podcast going today, Matt, and he's part of the Tom Crimmins team out of New York. So we're gonna get him booked up on the McDaniel Challenge. And Matt, do you know where we are in regards to how far out everyone's booked on the show?
Oh, you're saying something about the end of July? Is that right?
No, Matt, you would be wrong. It would be August 2nd at this point.
Okay, great. Holy cow, man!
Yeah, it's unreal. And then Casey, hey man, thanks for the kind, again, another just beautiful kind letter. And Matt, he gave me something which you crave so passionately. He gave me a $25 gift certificate to Starbucks.
Nice. All right. Good.
I was on
Get
his,
your fix in the afternoon.
I was on his panel of top successful agents that I talked to you guys about, and went beautifully. Such a great time. So there are my shout outs. You guys are amazingly wonderful human beings. I love meeting you. So keep it coming. Keep it good.
Awesome.
Bring it to me.
All right. Well, let's finish out with. We've got about maybe 5 or 10 minutes to finish up the section on like the best habits. So let's go through a few of your favorite points, Kevin, and finish up that before we get into the investing side. So what are some other things? We talked about relationship building. We talked about having more of a longer-term mentality. Go out and do the basics that you should do. So what are some other things that you've noticed the top agents there in Australia do that the unsuccessful agents do not?
Yeah, really good at listening, Matt. One thing that they are good at doing is understanding. We're born with 2 eyes, 1 mouth, and 2 ears. So 1/5 of everything we should do should be talking. It's not about me. It's all about the person. So get to know the person. Really listen to what they have to say and make that connection. So great agents are really good at doing that. The other thing I found too, and this has come through in our podcast, they're so willing to share their knowledge. One thing I do know, just go and seek out a great agent and sit down with them and say, hey, listen, let's have a cup of coffee. What is it? Tell me what you're doing now that's working for you, and what can I learn from that? And they're so willing to share their experiences. The other thing too, I guess, you've got to associate with a like-minded individual, and this is one of the problems with our industry, is that the longer we seem to be in real estate, the experience grows in direct proportion to the way the enthusiasm wanes. So, you see some agents have been in the industry. There are exceptions, of course, who've been in the industry for 20 years. They know what it's all about. They know who the tire kickers are. They get lazy. And unfortunately, new agents come in and they're just like those young bucks. They want to go and do it. They go to the training and they go back to the office, and that seasoned agent will say, well, don't worry about that. That doesn't work. This is the real world. This is how it works in the real world. The challenge I would want to put to any new agent is, you become like the 5 people you associate with. So who are the 5 key people in your influencer group who you're going to meet with and you want to be like? Just ignore all those other people. Don't go around the coffee machine or the water cooler. That stuff is so bad. That's toxic.
Yes.
So keep away from toxic people. And, great people associate with other great people. That's what keeps them so great. And they're constantly pumping with ideas. They've got a great self-belief. They really believe in themselves. And in Australia, we have a thing called vendor-paid advertising. And I'm not quite sure how prolific that is in the States. But most key agents in Australia pay for no marketing on property. All the property marketing is paid for by the seller. And in some cases, the seller can be paying $20,000, $30,000, even $40,000 per property to get it sold. So these are huge, massive challenges for agents to get that kind of commitment out of a seller.
If
So you'll find that the key agents, they're getting huge budgets. It's nothing for a top agent out of Sydney or Melbourne to be chalking up over $1 million worth of vendor paid advertising in 1 year, and that's pure property advertising.
So vendor paid. So you mean like a Starbucks or a home contractor or someone would pay for the marketing to get the business, or who's paying?
No, you're a property seller. You want to market your property. For me to put it into the paper, put it on the internet, and do whatever marketing I need to get people to come to the open home, you'll pay for it, and that can be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Roughly around about 1% of the value of the property is what great agents, effectively try to get in their marketing dollars.
Wow, that is a hefty price tag. I mean, Eileen would never let us do that. I mean, I'm always like, Eileen, that's not expensive at all. She's like, Greg, that's $500. I'm like, yeah. What can we get for $5,000? She's like, shut up, Greg. Stop. No, you're not gonna spend that money. I'm like, God damn it, I want to spend money.
Oh. Now, why is that?
She'd love our environment where all of that's paid for by the seller. So,
yeah. Well, except that your commissions are half. Yeah. So I mean, it's essentially saying, yeah, we'll take the fee structure is different, so then you have to push some of that doesn't change the economics of the business. Like the money still needs to be spent on advertising. You're just shifting who pays for it. So in terms of what are they paying for? Like, just give us and not to get too off on a tangent here, but what in the world are they spending $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 on? Are we talking about luxury listings where they're bringing in a super high-end, videography team to produce a really nice video? Is that what we're kind of getting into that realm? Or are we talking about newspaper advertising?
Well, we're talking about all of those things. We're talking about a complete package that takes in press, and yeah, look, at that end, 30, 40, 50,000, we're talking about really prestige properties.
Okay.
The average property, average suburban property, probably carries a campaign anywhere between $500 and $1,000. I would think that's probably that's probably the medium, probably the average.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But having said that, even those $1,000 campaigns are very hard for some agents to get. It's a hard ask sometimes when someone's got to sell a property and it's maybe worth less than what they paid for it, for them to convince them that they've got to spend then $1,000 to try and find the buyer. So a lot of this is about self-belief, and it gets back to what I discussed earlier about getting top fees. You've got to have a great belief in your own ability, a great belief in what you're doing, and you've really got to be switched on to real estate and love the game. And the other thing too, they've got to invest in themselves. Campaigns to market themselves. Getting leaflets printed for themselves. So you got to understand that this is a business. This is not just a job. So I've got to have my own marketing budget, my own marketing plan. So they treat it like a business.
I'm so glad someone does. I mean, that's the truth. And you said it perfectly. It's not a job. It's really not a job. It is a complete business. You are running a legitimate business if you choose to run it that way. But I want to step back to the videos from your top listing agents. I saw one of the best videos I've ever seen in my entire life. It was straight movie quality, and it was like this smoking hot chick, like barely wearing anything. And she's like, oh my God, I need help, I need help, I need help. And right before that top fell off, in this beautiful mansion, all of a sudden it cut to these two guys, and they're like, now that we have your attention, let's talk real estate. You're like, what the fuck just happened? No, go back to the hottie that's naked. We're talking about that one.
Was that the one that was done on the Gold Coast? Was that Australian?
Yes, Gold Coast, I think is what it was, yeah.
It was Gold Coast, yeah. Yeah, the Gold Coast has actually done a lot of that. You'll find there's some very inventive agents in Australia who've gone, to the nth degree to capture people's attention. But certainly the quality of video is very, very high on a lot of our listings, and the greater majority of our listings do actually carry video. And we're strongly suggesting that people use professional video as opposed to going out with their own camera. I mean, that's good stuff. Sometimes you've just made a sale, so you're going to stand in front of the board and say, do the selfie and promote that on Facebook. But when it comes to marketing a property, I think you've got to spend some money and get it done professionally so that it does really look good. Shoot it in high definition.
That is the total truth. We spend about $1,000 per property, and we do the whole photo thing. We have high-end, glossy, nice, flyers. We also now get a drone and do drone shots. It's being flown by a licensed pilot, so we are complying with all the laws and everything else. But they really does make a difference when you have these high-end properties or just a normal property with a great view or something like that. To go a little bit extra, go over it a little bit, because video is going to be shared. It can be shared more than 12 times more than written, and photo will be shared about twice as much as just plain written text. So it's a worthwhile investment in your time.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. All right, so let's transition here and get into the investing side a little bit. So you just interviewed a very, very, very successful agent and investor, and you had some things that you wanted to share as far as his perspective and mindset and some of the lessons that he's learned. So let's dive into that. And so it's an endemic condition, with the average age of realtors, 55, 57. I'm sure it's about the same in Australia. So what you end up with is people in their mid-50s staring down the barrel of wishing they could retire in 10 years and realizing that they can't. They have no assets. They have no saleable business. All they have is effectively they've created their own job, and if they want to keep making money, they still have to prospect because they haven't been building relationships for the last 20 or 30 years. What they have is maybe they have a set of good prospecting habits, and they have to go out and kill something next week. Mm-hmm. So what's the solution to that, and what did that guy do differently where he can now live passively off the income from his investments where most agents don't?
Yeah, great question, Matt. And I've just come away from a 5-day conference on the Gold Coast, which is where they shoot those fabulous videos with those ladies whose tops fall off. And I didn't see that, by the way. So, but no, I was at a 5-day conference with some high net worth individuals, and one of the questions I asked them was, how did you learn this skill? What is it? Because these people live purely off the income coming from their investment properties. They're all positively geared. They're all positive cash flow. And these are very clever people. And the one guy I did interview, and I'm going to be featuring it on our consumer show in the next few weeks. Eddie, he used to work as a real estate agent, and I said, tell me about that transition from becoming an agent to becoming a very successful investor. He said it was very simple. Within 2 years of working in the real estate industry, I realized that I'd only ever be as good as the amount of commission that I could earn myself. I needed to invent, create income streams. So he's got various income streams. Now, as an example, Richard Branson's got 400 income streams. That's why the guy's so rich. That's why he's so good at what he does. So these people have got a number of income streams, and he saw owning his own office and having a whole group of brokers working for him, each one providing him with an income stream. So he's still got that business. Those income streams are still performing for him. Now he's got all of his properties lined up as well, and they're all creating this income stream. So these guys understand that they've got a strategy, they've built a financial plan, and they're working on their income stream. So basically that's what he does. He just manages his income streams and lives off the benefit of that.
That's amazing. 400 income streams. I mean,
that's Richard Branson has. Yeah, he's probably one of the best entrepreneurs in the world in terms of understanding those income streams. So
let's turn that on its head really quickly, and let's lay it out. So we're not Richard Branson yet, but what's a couple of ways that an agent can change the way they view things? What's a couple of things you've seen other agents do? They're like, oh wait,
at least get themselves in a position where they could potentially invest.
Right.
Yeah, look, the first thing I'd suggest is get a coach or a mentor, someone who's going to be your uncomfortable partner, someone who's going to tell you the uncomfortable truth about what you're doing, and don't believe your own bullshit. Don't believe that you're the best agent in the world just because someone told you were on the last transaction. You've got to be constantly striving. The agents I talk to, I say, what is it you're doing today that's going to make you great tomorrow? And the first thing they'll tell me is that they challenge what they've done today. Every day they say, okay, that was successful, but how could I have done that better? What are the things that I could do? They sit it down to their own hardest critic. And you constantly got to be building on ways that you could do things better. So that question, what can I do today to really improve my outcomes for tomorrow? Make that list, which is what I did over the weekend. So I've got a list of probably about 15 things that I'm going to be really hard focused on in the next 3 months. And I'm not going to work on them all at one time because that's not practical. Mm-hmm. Pick the top 2, even one. Just work on one skill that you want to improve today and make sure you go at it 110%. That's the best piece of advice I can give you. If you want to turn your business around, just focus on one small area. To give you an example, if you if you currently the KPIs that we work on, key performance indicators, number of presentations to listings secured, number of listings secured to number sold. So what's your conversion rate? How many of the listings that you've picked up today are you going to sell in the next? So if your success rate is 50% of everything you list, you're going to sell. What happens if you move that up to 60%? What happens if you then look at turning that stock over rather than 60 days, turning it over in 45 days? I can tell you, just those two little indicators, you can double your income in the next 12 months just by doing those two things.
Oh, yeah,
so what
absolutely.
are the skills you've got to work on?
No, I think that's absolutely genius because people get so caught up on a lot of this stuff. So what does that mean? That means go out and listen to podcasts like yours, like ours. Get those little nuggets of goodness. For one podcast, you get one thing that you can take and put in actionable ideas that you can put into your business today will make the difference. Because think about it. Let's say we all work 300 days a year, give or take, right? That's 300 potential little tweaks you're going to put into your business. Now, not all of them are going to stick, but the big ones that you start using will stick. I mean, like setting up your goals. God forbid. Go write your goals out, people. Go be 100% serious on it. Now you understand which way you're going on it, and then head that direction. Do it consistently and persistently on a daily basis. Kevin, you put it you made it sound so easy and simple because it is.
It is simple.
Get wrapped up.
Yeah.
Well, I think
we overcomplicate a very, very, sorry, Matt, but we do actually overcomplicate a very simple process. You know, we look for that magic bullet all the time. We don't find it. It's just so basic. Just do a couple of basic things and do them really well, and do them with great enthusiasm, and it'll work for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I love the part where you make your list of all the things you'd like to improve, but just pick 1, 2, or 3 things, and even if you have to limit it to just one, I think that's where a lot of people stumble, is they see so many things that could be and need to be improved, and then they never move forward because they think in order to move forward, they have to move forward on all fronts. When really, if you just list out everything, like if you listen to a podcast, keep track of the little nuggets, but usually there's one thing in there that's a lever that if you just turn it, it will double your business or whatever the case is. It will make a huge difference. It's a huge, it's a high point of leverage, and if you can find that and you just work on that one thing, then make a new list of 15 other things and find the one thing out of that. Like even if that's all you took away from this podcast, was just write down the ideas that you pick up off of educational podcasts and implement the one most important high leverage thing that you learn and relax about all the other stuff, it would make a huge difference.
And the bonus, Matt, is that they too could have their own set of Hobbit pads if they just did this.
That's right.
Like
you too can nest in multiple legal pads on your desk. Exactly.
At one time. And then the other legal pad doesn't get mad if you're hanging out with the first legal pad. It's amazing.
Right. Yeah, and all right, so let's finish this out with maybe a couple of other points on how to position yourself to invest. So in the person that you spoke to, obviously he's a successful agent. He looks around and realizes that, hey, if I'm going to do this, there's some adjustments that need to take place. So what were some of the other things that he did to position himself to invest and then make that transition to where he's living off of the income from his investments rather than constantly having to be on the hamster wheel of being an agent?
Yeah, look, the question I'd ask every agent watching this or broker watching this right now is, do you really have a belief in what you're doing? In other words, if you don't believe in property, if you don't believe in it as an investment vehicle, then you should not be selling it, because that's really what it comes down to, is that core belief. If you really believe that it is, set your strategy up around developing your own portfolio. How embarrassing is it when you're talking to an investor and they say to you, how many properties have you got? And you've got to tell them that you've got none, that you're still renting, that you're still a tenant, or whatever the case may be. Right. For goodness sake, set up a strategy to do a bit of saving. Even if you only save 10% of your income, every commission check you get, pull out 10% and throw it away as a saving toward building your own nest egg. And the other thing too is invest in yourself, invest in some education. Eddie, who I spoke to, is that investor. He had just spent was something like $15,000, I think, to go to this conference for that 5 days, and that to him is just a small investment. And he'll do that 3 or 4 times a year just to improve his own skill set, to mix with like-minded people, and he knows it's going to come back tenfold for him. So invest in yourself.
And that's one of the biggest things. And if you guys can't afford, $10,000-$15,000, that's okay. Invest in yourself. Listen to the different podcasts. Be like Matt. Read a shit ton of huge books. Matt, show them what kind of book you got. I mean, this thing is like the original Bible.
This was a gift for me, apparently, and it came just as we were about to go live. It's the Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations. So it's just a small.
It's a pamphlet.
Yeah, it's a pamphlet. It's it's a good weekend read.
Yeah, a light reading by the pool.
Yeah.
A couple cocktails will soak it all in.
570
Yeah,
pages.
we can look forward to a summary in the next podcast, Matt.
Yeah, exactly. 2 days from now, I'll have it summarized.
Of the first page.
But I mean,
no,
you'd be amazed. I mean, I love books because you can get 20, 30, 40 years of accumulated wisdom in what you can effectively read in a couple of days. I mean, it's yes, the seminars and things like that are worth it for the experience because they put you in this environment where you are more receptive. But if you can put yourself in that environment just by reading the books, you don't need to spend the money, and that's not an excuse to not get the information because the information is out there. Most of the time, and Kevin, you'll probably agree with this, there's maybe a few nuggets here and there that you'll come across in a seminar that you couldn't get out of somebody's book or out of listening to their interviews, but for the most part, it's really just rehash or restatement or whatever of stuff that's already available out there, but nobody implements it. They go to seminars to force themselves to implement it, even though 90% go home and don't.
The power of a great idea is in its implementation. There's so many great ideas out there, but unless you implement, it means nothing.
I heard one of my favorite quotes. The richest place on planet Earth is the graveyard. Because so many hundreds of millions of people had wonderful, incredible, brilliant ideas, but they never took action on them. Imagine if our world was different. Imagine if a tenth of those people had taken action. What if Steve Jobs never acted on his idea for a computer? Or Bill Gates or Richard Branson, all these movers and shakers. What would our world really look like? So the real question is, when it comes back to you as the agent listening to this, what are you sitting on like a hen sits on an egg that could radically transform your life, your family's life, the world's overall experience, and all it takes is you taking action. And if it's just you going out and making that 5-10 more phone calls, you get that additional listing appointment, you get 10 listing appointments, you close one, but then your price point is going to add another $100,000 to your income, and you can skip watching fucking Crown of Thorns or whatever that dumb show is.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Crown of Thorns. Wow. Okay. All right. It's time to end the podcast. Now,
Crown of Thorns is Australian. That's straight off the Great Barrier Reef. I got to tell you.
See, I knew what Kevin was talking about. I was talking to his audience.
Yeah.
All right. Exactly.
All right. So remind people, Kevin, how the name of your show that's aimed at agents and where they can go to sign up for the 7-minute daily podcast.
Yep. It's free, comes out every day, and the website is RE Uncut, as in real estate uncut. But just go to reuncut.com.au, and as I said, free to subscribe. Love to have you on board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a really good podcast.
Yeah, it is. It is excellent. So we listened to it when Greg's episode came out. It is super fast moving. It's very punchy. You'll get a lot of actionable tips, and the emails come every day in your inbox every morning. So then you can just click right from there and listen to it, or subscribe and get it on your mobile device. You can listen to the car on the way into the office, where you hopefully will not be stopping by the water cooler or the coffee machine and talking to people that are also hanging around there, because you want to skip right past those people and get to your desk and start working.
Put blinders on. Just armbar them as you move
exactly. You want to shoulder roll right past them blindfolded and then get to your desk. Right.
Yeah, wearing headphones so you can't hear their words. You don't get drawn in like the sirens. You don't want to get drawn in by the sirens.
And what would you say to them, Greg? There's 2 words you'd use, wouldn't you?
Fuck off.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
But
Kevin, provoking, poking.
I know, I love it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll tell you the truth. No joke. When this office was being built, the office right through that wall right there is the back door to the office, to the parking lot. We picked this office so that we could literally come right into the overall larger office, do a barrel roll to the left, and not have to talk to another agent, so we wouldn't get distracted. It's honest to God the reason why we chose this office.
And what a beautiful office it is. All right.
Yes, it is, Matt.
All right, guys. Well, let's finish out with a couple things. Just a quick thank you again to Viral Marketing. Go to gregsmarketingexamples.com. Check out what they do for him. Go download the Homing In app immediately and see if there's free seller leads already being kind of requests for home valuations in your area. It doesn't matter whether you're on Australia. I know for sure that there are requests in Australia, and I don't believe they have any agents that have downloaded the app yet there that are responding to those requests for home seller like home valuations. So if you're on Australia, go download the app and go check it out, because it's basically free seller leads to you. And then Greg, I know you're booked way out, but if somebody wants to take up the McDaniel challenge, other than just make sure you follow us on Facebook, because if Greg has a cancellation, we might start posting those. Because since Greg is getting booked so far out, people do, we're going to have some issues where people have stuff come up and they won't be able to do it, and we can't have Greg spending a night alone.
No.
That won't work. So we'll put it up on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and let you guys know when Greg has an off night, so you can immediately fill it. But until then, Greg, what's your phone number?
My phone number is the most beautiful number in the world, Matt. It is area code 925-915-1978. Look, my phone works, guys. I even have my logo right there. How cool is that? Guys, call me, text me, Facebook message me. Don't Twitter me. I'll never fucking read those. Basically any other form, and I'm just learning Snapchat. That's a dicey one. But any other form of communication, including smoke signals and carrier pigeons, are acceptable means of communication with me. Reach out. Guys, it's an hour and a half to 2 hours of me hanging out with you, you hanging out with me, getting to know each other, working through anything that's stopping, sticking, or frustrating you in your business. It could be mindset. It could be prospecting. It could be whatever it is. If you think that you aren't ready for the McDaniel challenge, you're fucking ready for it. Okay? You're the exact person that needs to be talking to me. So please do yourself a huge favor. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. No strings attached. Call me, guys. 925-915-1978. Book your spot, because as of right now, the recording of this, it is August 2nd. That is actually going to be taken by Gerald, so now it's going to be August 3rd, bitches. So,
wow, that was quick. All right, guys. Well, with that said, we've got an interview with another top producer. Paul Campbell is coming up on Friday. We go live at 11 a.m. Pacific. Sorry, there is no podcast for Monday. We had some technical issues. We weren't able to broadcast. It was a holiday anyway. We shouldn't have even tried. It was my fault for dragging Greg in. He had his beers all ready to go. We couldn't broadcast, so I do apologize.
Do you know what shit I got for drinking Coronas? They're like, really, you can drink a Corona? Really? You couldn't drink a man beer? I'm like, shut the fuck up.
It wasn't just Corona. It was Corona Light. I have to point that out.
It's bikini season.
I know. Kevin just threw up in his studio.
That's disgusting.
Ridicule.
That's awesome. All right, Kevin, thanks so much for being a good sport.
Decaf coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't trust people that drink decaf coffee. There's something fucking wrong with those people.
I don't. Yeah. Well, what about light beer?
Oh, come on. Oh, those are just jabs right to the side. At least it was beer. Oh, Kevin, you're awesome, man. Thank you.
Well, we'll say our public goodbyes. Kevin, stick around for a couple minutes after the live broadcast. We'll chat for a few. But until then, guys, for all of you, we'll see you again on Friday.
We love you guys. See you then.